All right, so let's dive into this idea of Black Wall Street. It's more than just a name.
Yeah, definitely more than a name.
It's a powerful symbol of Black folks building something amazing, really from nothing.
It really is, it's about resilience and ingenuity, creating opportunity where there wasn't any before.
Yeah, we're talking full-blown ecosystems, right?
Yeah.
Not just shops, but, doctors, lawyers, newspapers.
Exactly. Everything a community needs to support itself.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to look into today. The stories of 3 Black Wall Streets. Greenwood in Tulsa,
Yep.
Jackson Ward in Richmond, and Parrish Street in Durham.
Yeah.
Each one is unique, but they all share this common thread of triumph, but also sadly struggle.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Greenwood, Tulsa. This is the one that most folks have heard about, I think.
Definitely.
And it's a picture. What makes it so special?
So picture this. Early 1900s in Oklahoma. Greenwood is booming. You've got over 600 businesses.
Wow.
A thriving financial sector with Black-owned banks and even a dollar circulating within the community before it left. Yeah, doctors, lawyers, teachers, you name it. Greenwood had it.
It's like a world within a world.
Yeah.
Forced into existence by segregation,
Yeah.
but flourishing nonetheless.
Yeah, that self-sufficiency is really key because Black folks were excluded from white businesses.
Right.
They had to pour their talents and resources back into their own community, and Greenwood is a perfect example of what that could achieve.
A shining example for sure. But then comes the tragedy, right? The Tulsa Race Massacre, 1921. I learned about it in school, but it's one of those events that just chills you to the bone.
Yeah, and it's chilling how quickly success turned to ash. A false accusation against a young Black man.
Dick Rowland.
Right. Dick Rowland sparks unimaginable violence. A white mob, some of them aided by law enforcement,
Wow.
descend on Greenwood, burning and looting for 2 days straight.
Over 35 square blocks destroyed.
Yeah.
Countless homes and businesses just gone. Estimates on the deaths vary wildly
Yeah.
because of the cover-up. But it's a horrific loss of life on top of everything else.
And it gets worse. And by worse, I mean deeply disturbing. After the massacre, insurance companies refused to honor claims from Black residents. They cited it as a riot,
Oh, wow.
placing the blame on the victims.
So not only the immediate devastation, but the long-term impact. Generational wealth was just wiped out.
Exactly. A double blow, making recovery that much harder.
And this pattern of financial exclusion would repeat itself in different forms, as we'll see with these other Black Wall Streets.
Yeah, for sure.
That leads us to Jackson Ward in Richmond, Virginia, known as the Harlem of the South, which tells you right there how culturally significant it was.
Oh, yeah. Jackson Ward was a powerhouse. Think late 19th, early 20th century, Black-owned banks, insurance companies, theaters, social clubs.
All thriving under Jim Crow.
Ah,
It's hard to
I
imagine.
know, right?
And we can't talk about Jackson Ward without mentioning Maggie L. Walker,
Of course.
a true pioneer in finance, first African-American woman to charter a bank in the U.S.
What's amazing about Maggie Walker is that she understood the power of economic independence. Her bank, the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank, didn't just handle money. It provided loans and opportunities for Black folks who were shut out by white institutions.
So she's not just breaking barriers in business. She's directly uplifting her community through finance. That's vision.
Absolutely.
But even with figures like Walker Jackson Ward, wasn't immune to the forces that dismantled so many Black communities.
Right.
This time, it wasn't a sudden explosion like Tulsa, but a slower burn.
You're talking about urban renewal.
Yeah, those mid-20th century projects that often displaced Black folks in the name of progress.
Think about it. Interstate 95 and 64 get built right through the heart of Jackson Ward. Thousands displaced, businesses destroyed.
Wow.
The community literally cut in half. And this is happening alongside redlining, where banks are refusing loans to residents based on their race.
A 1-2 punch. First, you disrupt the physical space, then you restrict the financial tools they need to rebuild, a recipe for systematic decline.
And it's a pattern we see across the country. Supposedly neutral policies having devastatingly targeted effects on Black communities.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing how these forces that are disguised as progress were really used to undermine Black communities.
Absolutely.
But even with all that, there's this enduring spirit of resilience.
Right. And speaking of spirit, I think it's time we shift gears a little bit and delve into the cultural side of Black Wall Streets.
Okay.
It wasn't just about economics. It was about fostering Black art, music, and expression in a world that often tried to silence those voices.
Yeah, that's what makes these communities so fascinating. They were forced to be self-sufficient.
Right.
But out of that came this explosion of creativity.
Exactly.
Like when you're told you can't do something, you just find a way to do it 10 times better.
That's right.
So let's start with music. I know Greenwood had a legendary jazz scene. Any names we might recognize?
Oh, Greenwood was hopping. We're talking the likes of Duke Ellington.
Oh, wow.
Count Basie, even a young Ella Fitzgerald graced those stages.
Hold up, Ella Fitzgerald in Tulsa. That's a history lesson they don't teach you in school.
Right. It was a melting pot of talent drawing crowds from all over.
What was the vibe like in those clubs?
Electric. You had Black folks from all walks of life coming together to celebrate, dance, and just be themselves.
Yeah.
Music was more than entertainment. It was a lifeline, a way to connect and find joy in the face of hardship.
And it wasn't just Greenwood, right? Jackson Ward had its own reputation as a cultural hub.
Jackson Ward was known as the Harlem of the South for a reason. It had this vibrant mix of jazz, blues, gospel, you name it.
Wow.
Theaters were popping up, showcasing Black performers and stories that weren't being told anywhere else.
It's like a whole world of Black artistry that existed parallel to but separate from the mainstream. It's a shame that so much of it was lost or forgotten.
That's why it's so important to uncover these stories, to celebrate the richness and depth of Black cultural expression. And it wasn't just music and performance either.
Okay.
Black Wall Streets were incubators for writers, thinkers, and activists.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Any particular writers that stand out?
Think about Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston. They drew inspiration from the lives and experiences of Black folks in urban communities, including Black Wall Streets.
Right.
Their work gave voice to a generation challenging stereotypes and pushing the boundaries of literature.
It's like they captured the soul of these communities, the struggles, the triumphs, the everyday joys and sorrows.
Exactly.
And they did it with such power and artistry.
And let's not forget the newspapers. Black Wall Streets had their own publications giving a platform to Black journalists, writers, and community leaders. Right. They were essential for sharing information, advocating for change, and celebrating Black achievement.
So we're talking about a full-blown media ecosystem, independent and thriving. It's like they built their own world not out of choice, but out of necessity.
And from that necessity came this incredible blossoming of creativity. It's a testament to the human spirit, to the power of community, and to the undeniable talent that existed within these Black Wall Streets.
Man, I'm getting fired up just thinking about it. It's like, despite all the obstacles, they found a way to not just survive, but to create, to innovate, to shine. It's truly inspiring.
And that inspiration is what we need to carry forward. Because while those specific Black Wall Streets faced immense challenges, the spirit they represent is something we can learn from and build upon today.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we translate that spirit of resilience and creativity into tangible action in the 21st century?
That's the million-dollar question, and one we're going to explore in our next segment, because as much as it's important to understand the past, it's even more important to use those lessons to shape a brighter future.
You got that right?
Yeah.
So folks, hang tight, because we're about to get into the nitty-gritty of how the legacy of Black Wall Streets is being revived and reimagined in the present day. Okay, so we've gone through the ups and downs of these iconic Black Wall Streets.
Yeah.
We saw the brilliance of the innovation, but also the systemic barriers that they had to face. But here's the thing. The story doesn't end there, right?
No, not at all. The spirit of Black Wall Street is alive and well. And it's finding new ways to express itself in the 21st century.
That's what gives me hope.
Yeah.
It's not just looking back with, nostalgia or sadness.
Right.
It's about understanding that legacy and using it as fuel for the future.
And there's a real movement happening right now across the country.
Okay.
Folks are rebuilding, reimagining, and reclaiming that spirit of Black entrepreneurship. It's inspiring to see.
So paint us a picture. What does this modern-day Black Wall Street movement look like? Are we talking brick and mortar or digital spaces or both?
It's a beautiful blend, actually. You've got communities revitalizing those historic Black business districts, breathing new life into those spaces while honoring the past.
Like taking those physical locations that hold so much history and cultural significance and making them thrive again.
Exactly. And then you have this whole other wave of folks leveraging technology, building online platforms and digital networks that connect Black-owned businesses to customers and investors worldwide.
So like a digital Black Wall Street, breaking down those geographical barriers barriers that have always limited access and opportunity.
Exactly. It's about meeting people where they are. And these days, that's often online. You got crowdfunding platforms specifically for Black entrepreneurs.
Wow.
Co-working spaces designed to foster collaboration, even apps that make it easier to find and support Black-owned businesses in your area.
It's like taking that core principle of self-sufficiency and amplifying it with technology.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for sure. What do you think is driving this resurgence?
Well, for one, there's a growing awareness of the racial wealth gap and the systemic barriers that continue to hold Black folks back. People are waking up to the fact that we can't just talk about equality, we have to create it.
And I imagine the events of recent years, all the social justice movements and calls for racial equity have played a role too.
Absolutely. There's a new sense of urgency, a collective awakening to the need for systemic change. And supporting Black businesses is seen as a direct and powerful way to contribute to that change.
Because it's not just about economics.
Right.
It's about investing in Black communities, families, futures.
Right.
Creating a ripple effect of positive impact.
It's about reclaiming ownership, building generational wealth, and redefining what success looks like on our own terms.
Yeah.
And when Black communities thrive, society as a whole benefits.
So what can our listeners do to get involved? Where do we even begin?
Start by consciously supporting Black-owned businesses in your community. Make an effort to seek them out.
Yeah.
Share their information with your networks and become a regular customer.
Word of mouth is powerful, especially now with social media. A simple shout out or review can go a long way.
And if you've got business expertise, think about mentoring a Black entrepreneur. Share your knowledge, offer guidance, and help them navigate the challenges of starting and growing a business. There are tons of organizations that connect mentors and mentees, and your contribution could be invaluable.
And for those with financial resources, consider investing directly in Black-owned businesses or supporting Black-led venture capital funds. Put your money where your values are.
Yeah, and most importantly, stay informed.
Okay.
Read books, listen to podcasts, follow organizations doing this work. The more you understand the history and the present-day challenges, the more effectively you can contribute to solutions.
Education is key. We'll be sure to include some resources in the show notes to get you started, because this isn't just about checking boxes, it's about making a real commitment to change.
It's about understanding that the fight for economic justice is ongoing, and it's a fight we can all participate in.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling a mix of reflection and inspiration.
Yeah.
The history of Black Wall Streets is both heartbreaking and empowering. It's a reminder of the resilience of Black communities, but also of the work that still needs to be done.
It's a call to action for all of us. Let's honor the legacy of those who came before us by building a future where Black entrepreneurship thrives, not in spite of obstacles, but because those obstacles have been dismantled.
Beautifully said. So to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.
Keep learning, keep engaging, and keep supporting Black excellence in all its forms.
We can't change the past, but we can absolutely shape the future. And that's a future I'm excited to be a part of alongside each and every one of you.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into Black Wall Streets. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep the conversation going.